Tamika, I read your book and I feel like we're best friends and you don't know it.
I love it.
It is incredible. I love your book. I just want you to hear what I learned from Tamika's book. You were state champion basketball player your sophomore year in Illinois and your senior year in Texas. You were Illinois Miss Basketball as a sophomore. You won the NCAA championship 39-0 undefeated your freshman year. You're the first ever quintuple double ever in the history of basketball. You're the Naismith College Player of the Year, AP Player of the Year, WNBA Rookie of the Year, WNBA World Champion.
Okay.
No, this is unbelievable. League MVP, Series MVP. And in addition to all the records she holds, by the way, 4 Olympic gold medals like you heard. But when you hear what Tamika has overcome in order to accomplish that, you're gonna know of the power of Jesus Christ.
At 3 years old, my mom and dad found out. I have an older brother, Kenyon, and so yeah, we're all 21 months apart. So he's 21 months older than my sister. I have an older sister, Taj, and then me. And my brother, they actually found out that he was hearing impaired. And then my sister, Taj, I call her, I told my student today, I dubbed her the perfect one. And then there was me. And yes, at 3 years old, I was diagnosed with a hearing impairment. And then also, along with hearing impairment, a speech impediment. So I grew up, nonetheless, being bullied just for being different. And so really sport came as an avenue for me to be able to fit in and be normal like everybody else.
Can you describe the hearing devices that you had to wear on your ears when you went to elementary school?
Yeah, so I had the big ones. Now they go in the ear. But I had the big hearing aid that went over. And I mean, when you're a kid and the only thing you want to do is just fit in. And so I had the big hearing aid that you could literally see them from here all the way to the wall back there. That's how big they were. And it was something that really, signified that I was in the room. And for me as a young girl, that's one of the hardest things, is just knowing that I wasn't normal like everybody else.
And you were made fun of by your peers. And I think you would get called out to go to a speech therapy session in elementary school, and that increased the teasing and the bullying that you experienced. But your dad had played with Dr. J, but you didn't really know who Dr. J was, right?
No, we just knew he was my dad's teammate. And my dad played in the NBA. He played for 11 years for the Milwaukee Bucks, New Jersey Nets, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Los Angeles Clippers. I always make fun of him because I have to use my hands when I'm talking about it. And I joke because I'm like, yeah, how many teams did I play for, Dad? It's a little running joke. I've been blessed to play for the Indiana Fever all 16 years. Yeah.
One year when you were young, your dad had a teammate, Jelly Bean, and they played in Italy. And I want you to talk about Jelly Bean's son and what that was like in Italy. Well,
it's crazy because when my father finished playing here, we moved to Italy for a year, and I was in first grade. And literally, our family was there, and then Jelly Bean Bryant, Kobe's dad, played. They played on a team not too far away. But being overseas and being in a different environment, our parents thought it was really important for both of our families to get together. There's not very many African-American families in Italy. I tell you guys that. But so we would get together and we would do, just family things, not really thinking about it. And we only lived there for 1 year, came back, moved down to Abilene, Texas, but kind of fast forward. And Kobe gets drafted out of high school, and I remember I was sitting down with my mom, and I'm like, wait a minute, isn't that kid that was in Italy with us? And my mom's like, yeah. And then, obviously 4 years after that, I graduated from college and then get drafted to the Fever, and then, miraculously. And I always joke around with him because I'm like, okay, I wear number 24, and now everybody wants to wear 24. But you weren't wearing 24, you were wearing number 8. You switched your number to 24. So now everybody thinks I followed your footsteps. No, you followed my footsteps. And then for the USA team, I wear number 10, and then what happened? He gets number 10. I'm like, come on. Then I announced my retirement in 2014, so what does he do? He retires in the same year I retire. So I was just like, come on, man. can I have my own walk? Can I have my...
You have a quote from him in his book. Didn't he say something to you like, when we were kids, who'd have ever thought?
Who would have ever thought?
It's just amazing.
Seriously, who would have ever thought that both of us would have not only had the journey that we've had, but also, the impact and being able to impact lives.
Well, I want to bring you back to Abilene, Texas, and I want you to tell the story because I think every kid can relate to something like this, where you, quote, lost your hearing devices.
Second grade was probably the worst year of my life. We came back from Italy, and literally, in first grade, it was probably the last time that I realized that I was different, or that I wasn't different. I felt like I was normal. And we moved to Abilene, Texas, my second grade year, and I just remember every single day going to school and getting made fun of. And I just remember, every day storming into the house, mad and crying. I'd have tears coming down my face, and I would beg my mom, please don't make me go back. I'll do whatever. I'll wash dishes, I'll fold clothes for the rest of my life. Just don't make me go back to school. And every day my mom would wipe my tears away, and she would say, honey, I can't let you give up. And so I had this bright idea. One day I woke up and I was like, today's gonna be a good day. And literally we walked into school, and I got made fun of right off the bat. And I was just like, man, today was supposed to be a good day. And so on my way home, we always had to walk past a tall field of grass. In second grade, on my way home, I literally take my hearing aids out, put them in my hand, and I throw them as far as I possibly could. And needless to say, the day went on. We were in softball at that point in time, and I was that girl that loved to get dirty. And so after softball practice, my mom was just looking at me. I'm like, young lady, where are your hearing aids at? And I said, I don't know. And so we walked all over the softball field, ended up getting in the car, going home. Long story short, we didn't find the hearing aids. And my mom literally sat me down and she told me, your father and I cannot afford to buy you hearing aids every single time you lose them. You're gonna have to learn how to live without them. And what I realized after the fact, is that the things that were meant to help me, I literally had gotten rid of. And so I had to adjust. I had to, face my fears and literally adjust. And so I learned how to do 4 things. First one, I learned real fast how to read lips. So I would tell the kids, I know if you're talking about me, I can read your lips. And then the second thing, I would always sit in the front row. In every single one of my classes, I would sit front and center. Third thing, I would literally read chapters from the textbook before I went to class. So I figured something that I read, my teacher would talk about. And then the fourth thing, I would always stay after class and talk to my teachers. Because as long as my teachers were looking at me, I could have my notes. So I'd have words, and then I'd have blank, word blank. Because every single time they turned around to write on the chalkboard, and I couldn't read their lips, I couldn't write. And so I'd have to stay after class to literally fill in the blank. But I went from second grade all the way to freshman year in college, when I played for the best coach ever, Pat Head Summit. It's okay, I know we have a lot of Michigan State fans in here, but you guys can clap for Pat too. But it was literally my freshman year in college that Pat, sat me down and told me the importance of getting back into wearing my hearing aid, going back to speech therapy, and not being ashamed of who I was.
Was it your mom that said, whatever you want to do, you can do it?
My mom and my dad.
They both told you that?
Yep.
Your dad asked permission as a former NBA player to push you in basketball. Can you talk about...
I wish I would have said no.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, my dad and I's relationship is and if you get the book, you can read about it, but it's one of those that I was in 7th grade when I made my goal that I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps, and he did. He asked permission to be able to push me, and I said yes. But one of the things over time that I realized is that sometimes I just want my dad. I have coaches and I have assistant coaches and I have fans, and you have people that everybody wants to give you, y'all know, everybody wants to give you advice and tell you how to do what you do. And from a coach's standpoint, all the parents want to tell the kids that you coach what to do. And sometimes my dad would overstep his boundaries from that. I mean, literally, even as a professional. sometimes I dreaded going to my phone after a bad game because I just didn't know what to expect. And our relationship really like hit some highs and lows through the time. But now it's like, now that I'm done, it's so much better just to be able to, like, I'm retired. Like, I'm retired. I don't have to go to practice. I don't have to shoot anymore. But yeah, it's been one of those highs and lows.
Well, your mom and dad divorced when you're a sixth grader,
Yes.
Is that right? And what did that do to you inside? I guess your mom and dad lived close by each other for a while and you could just be in relationship with both of them in proximity, but how did you process that at such a young age?
Well, I'll be honest, sports became my life. And literally, I mean, even though our faith was strong and my mom always made sure that, you know, if we didn't go to church, we couldn't participate in sports and the whole thing, we couldn't do anything for the rest of the week. So that was always like the focus point. But I think what really happened is, you know, like literally I just put everything into my sports. And basketball, I ran track, I did the band, I played the baritone in the band, and you know, track and softball and volleyball, so I did a lot of different sports. And I think that really kind of kept me focused a lot of times, and just knowing that, okay, you know, like just having a schedule. I'm a very schedule-oriented person, like everything needs to be scheduled.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I told you we're best friends and you don't know it yet. So your sister and you get all kinds of media attention, the Catching Sisters, and your high school basketball team, your sophomore year, you win the state championship, you're Miss Basketball, and it's always the Catching Sisters, and then your mom decides to move back to Abilene. What was that like for you, that move to separate from your sister while you were still playing together?
Well, I'll be honest. So freshman and sophomore year, like you said, we got doted as the Catching Sisters. And it literally became, and this is in high school, it literally became everywhere we went, we were taking pictures and signing autographs, and like, it just wasn't normal in high school. It just wasn't normal. And so literally after sophomore year, it was really my decision because my mom would have never moved away from my sister. My sister and I are super close, and even my brother went to Northern Illinois University, but we moved to Duncanville, Texas, in between my sophomore and junior year, and it was really for me because I wanted a brand new start. And I literally, it was overwhelming. I didn't talk to people, so it was one of those things, it was just like very overwhelming to always be signing autographs and always, and then be packaged. We were a package deal, the Catching Sisters, kind of like the Williams, you know, Serena and Venus. That's literally what we were. And it was just a little bit too much.
So you go to Duncanville and you win a volleyball state championship. You're an outside hitter? I got my daughter's an outside hitter over here. She's committed to Liberty University.
Yes.
So I read that. I was really excited about that. And then you win a basketball state championship in Texas as well, right? How did it feel not playing with your sister and having your own identity? Well,
it was different. The night before my first day in my junior year, I had a meltdown. Literally was crying, and I was angry at my mom for moving me down there, and I was just like, how can you separate me from my sister? And then I had to realize I made the decision. It wasn't my mom's fault, but going to school, it was tough because I didn't have my own identity. And I joke around about this, but freshman and sophomore year, literally after the games, we would have interviews. And I was the offensive player. My sister was more the defensive player. And so what happens with the media? They want to know the person that scores the most points, that's who they shove a microphone in front of their face. And so I was standing there, and they're asking me questions. And my sister, Taj, would literally stand right next to me, and she would answer my question for me, and I would just stand there. And so junior year, not only did I have to do my own interviews, but I actually had to make my own friends and talk to people. And so that was a struggle early on, but I think that's the great thing about sports. Sports allows you an avenue right off the bat to have friends.
I thought what was really cool is Tamika's sister wins the Illinois state championship. You come back to watch your sister win the state championship. She becomes Miss Basketball for Illinois. And it's just incredible that although they separate, they both win state championships in the two different states. So you could go to college anywhere you want to go, but when you were 13, you saw the eyes of a coach, and you said on television, and you said, she thinks like I do, she has my passion, and you decided you want to play for Pat Summit. I love what you share about her in your book. I would love for you to describe that first practice and the defensive drill.
Oh, man.
And the way you saw it.
Yes, it was, first off, imagine the gym, first practice, Pat would always have open practice. So we'd have tons of people that would come because, they wanted to see what our freshmen looked like. And so our first practice, the building is packed and we're in practice. Like, who comes to practice to watch, right? So I will be honest, up until that point, I never had really been told that I had done anything wrong all my life. And on the court as far. And so one of the first drills, we're doing a defensive drill. And I told you guys, I was the offensive player, and my sister was the defensive player. I could play defense, I could get by. But one of the first drills, we had to do a defensive drill. And so I got down in my defensive stance. I have a dress on, so I can't get down like I would normally get down. But it wasn't good enough. So all of a sudden, Tamika! And I looked and she said, get your butt down, get your arm out. I'm like, okay, butt down, arms out, let's do this. And I got beat. And I got beat again, and I got beat again. Finally, I made a stop, and in my mind, I was upset. So I get back to the end of the line, I get back to the front, and I get back in my defensive stance. Tamika! Get your butt down, get your arm out! Butt down, arms out. I got beat. Now I'm mad. I got beat, and I got beat, and I got beat. And finally I made a stop. So in my mind, now I'm steaming. I'm really upset. So I get to the end of the line. Now when I get back as I'm inching my way to the front of the line, Pat is like in the hallway, not on the court. She's talking to some of the fans, like totally not paying attention. So I get up in my defensive stance, and I hear, Tamika! And I said, what? And for a minute, I was like, did I say that? Or did I think that? And as I'm looking around, people were like, so I was like, oh my gosh, I said that. And she said, get your butt down, get your arm out. Butt down, arms out, I got beat. And like my heart, even now, like when I tell this story, my heart just started beating super fast because I can feel like when I was there. And I got beat over and over and over again, and finally got to the end of the line, and I was just, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. And she calls me underneath the basket, and that's like the long walk. And she's like, do I need to handle you with lace gloves? And that was her way of saying, do I need to handle you like a girl? She could not stand when people would say, you play like a girl, or you do this like a girl. And I was like, no, ma'am, no. Do I need to send you back to Duncanville, Texas? And at that point, in my mind, I was thinking, if I go home, my mama's gonna kill me. So I would rather stay here and you kill me than my mama. So we never had another run-in. Literally, we did not have another run-in.
That was it?
Yeah, that was it. It only took one time. Freshman year, we went undefeated, and basketball became my God. It became really the only thing. I mean, I went to class, made good grades, but it really became the sole purpose of everything. And so I remember when we won the championship, and I was just like, oh my God, 39-0. If this is how the next 3 years are, I am gonna be in for the ride of my life. Well, then sophomore year came, and we started losing a few games, and everything went haywire. So I'm driving down the highway, and you know how there's always a billboard, and you might not see it for years, and one day you might look up and be like, oh my gosh, what's that? And so literally saw a billboard, and I ran back. We came in at the Fab Four, Tamika Randall, Teresa Jeter, Kristen Clement, and myself. And so I ran back to them, and I'm like, look, I saw this billboard, we need to go to church. We need to go check it out. They're having a revival at this church. And so we pack up on Wednesday, we go to this revival. We all had grown up in the church, so that wasn't like the issue. So we pack up, we go to this revival, and literally the pastor introduces this guest preacher, and it's Pastor Johnson, never forget it. And he gets up and he was like, today I'm gonna talk about who's your dad? And we were all like, maybe it's time for us to leave now. This guy's crazy. But he talked about your having a heavenly father, and that no matter what your relationship is with your earthly father, or earthly parent, that you always have a father in heaven that looks over you. And the cool thing about it, like my mom and dad were divorced. One of my teammates had never seen her father. The other one hadn't seen her father since 3rd grade. And then the last one, her dad was like doted the team dad because he was at every event. But it was that point that I recommitted my life. All 4 of us, we recommitted our life to Christ and have not looked back since then.
Wow. Amen. And I think it was your junior year that you went to your first FCA meeting?
I did. I was hooked. I mean, I went back, told my teammates about it. Some of them ended up coming, but it was something we couldn't always get to church, but you could always figure out when an FCA huddle was.
Oh, that's awesome. You were Naismith College Player of the Year your junior year, and tremendous accolades. And then your senior year, I think, are you going up for a layup and come down? And that's when you feel it? Tell what happened.
Yep, tore my ACL. And 7th grade, I made the first goal that I wanted to be in the NBA, follow my father's footsteps, get all the way to freshman year in college, and the WNBA come. So now I'm like, oh man, this lead is made especially for me, for this opportunity. And I mean, senior year in college, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, 3 minutes and like 13 seconds, random number, left in the game, or in the 3rd quarter, and I go up for a layup, come down, tore my ACL, and to be that close to your dream. And I was sitting in the locker room, all my teammates came in after the game, and everybody's crying, I'm crying, and they left. Pat came in, and they had to go back, and it was an eerie moment, but in a sense, all of a sudden, like I'm crying, and then I just had like a calmness come over me. And it was literally like, I got you. And I started like thinking about all my teammates and all the different things that they had going on in their lives. And if there was any one person that could handle what God had, it was me. And now when I sit here and I look back and I think about the testimony, because we have a lot of athletes that have gone through adversity, we have a lot of athletes that have torn their ACLs or have sprained their ankle and they think that it's the end of your career. But coming back, being able to come back from that. And since then, I mean, I've torn my ACL, I've torn my meniscus, I've torn my Achilles, I've torn my plantar fascia, I partially tore my other plantar fascia, I broke my nose a couple times, broke a couple fingers, knocked a couple teeth out, but look. We're still here.
That's awesome. Well, you end up getting drafted 3rd or 3rd round? Third, and you were wondering if you're going to get drafted at all. And what impressed me about your story is a couple things. One is that you went to Doc Harvey and totally rebuilt your jump shot, even though you're the best in the world. And then Coach Lynn Dunn for the Fever changes you from the 3 to the 4, and you're not liking that, but then she tells you, well, I want you to be like a point guard and a point forward, and you end up winning the world championship and your championship series MVP. You're doing some amazing things now.
I'm very passionate, you know, when I look at my career and I look at the people that have been alongside of me, and they have pushed me to do things maybe that I never thought I would do. But commentating and speaking and all of the stuff that people have pushed me to do, I would love to help athletes, and starting with our professionals, to find their passion, to find the things that they want to do and really figure out how do we get them engaged and how do we get them involved while they're still playing. Because we laugh and we joke about the stories we hear about, you know, professional athletes going broke after they're done playing and having no direction and all that. Well, I blame that a little bit on what we haven't had available to some of our players. For the NBA, they get drafted out of, 1 year in college, and that's 18, 19 years old. So think about it this way. We have a room one night, the night before the draft, we have a room of guys together. Everybody's pitching in a couple dollars to buy pizza. The very next night, I can buy pizza for everybody in this room. And when you look at it in that mentality, they don't learn all of the things. They just are given a whole lot of money and expected to know how to live life and what to do with their lives. And so I really want to figure out a way to help put them in a position so that when they do cross over, because we all retire, right, Kirk? We all will retire, some sooner than others. But what's next? And try to find that direction now.
And you have your foundation?
I have my foundation, the Catch the Stars Foundation, and we focus on boys and girls ages 7 to 18, providing programming around fitness, literacy, and mentoring. So we do a lot of different things. I love that. And then the most exciting new venture is I love to drink tea, and we grew up drinking tea. So I bought a tea shop, and it's called Tease Me, TEA''S Me, Cafe Indy, and I am looking to franchise, so I'm hoping to put one out here in Fort Wayne.
Wow. Love that. Tamika, we have just scratched the surface of your
And
life.
time has run up. Oh, man.
Is there anything else that you would like to say to this group tonight after all you've been through and how you've experienced the power of the Holy Spirit in your life?
I think it's amazing for me when I look back at that 3-year-old little girl and thinking about my parents and really them being more, what's gonna happen to my little girl? They probably lost a little hope for what I would be and who I would become. And the coolest thing about being able to share my testimony and all the things that I've been through is just that through hope and through faith and through love and through the journey that I've been through, so much has happened, but it's all been Him. And I always talk about, faith, have a little faith, focus on your goal, focus on His vision, ask for His direction, impact lives, trust the journey, and hold on and enjoy the ride. And through your faith and having the faith, anything is possible. Just believe.
Can we thank Tamika Catchings, greatest basketball player in the world of all time?
My name is Craig Cabe with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and as you know, biblical wisdom is rare in our world today. In Street Smarts for Proverbs, Mitch Kruse does a wonderful job of pointing us to God's truth for wisdom, but also giving us practical examples and real-life examples of people who lived street smarts for Proverbs. That wisdom is rare in our world today, and we use the book to give to our interns and other staff to encourage them to live lives of wisdom that we can learn from Solomon.